I think I'm going to kick off. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope your week has been great. If it has been a really busy one, then hopefully Friday will close it off with a good bang and you can have a good, relaxing weekend. Today, we're going to be having an overview of exactly Topcon Verity for design and as-built verification. And it's presented by myself, Shuaib Yunus. I'm the BIM technical specialist here for civil infrastructure and mining at Baker Baynes. And today is not going to be a really heavy technical focused webinar like my usual ones, but rather providing an understanding. Just to give you some insight, I'm going to also be hosting some webinars more on the construction part of it, like hardware stuff, and linking it more or less to the software and the great technologies available. That's going to help the construction side also be more optimized and effective. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on in today's session. So of course, we always have new people on our webinars, which is always very encouraging. So we do give an introduction on who we are as Baker Baynes. Thereafter, we're diving directly into today's focus, which is Topcon. Who are they and their portfolio? And you're going to see that they have quite an amazing portfolio for construction. Thereafter, I'm going to give you or provide a scan to BIM workflow. So those that have followed my series so far, and I can see many of you are here, which is great. You might have a pretty good or in-depth understanding of the scan to BIM workflow. And this is just going to be diving into it a little bit more. It's more or less the same principle, but more or less fine-tuned. And then after, we're going to be concluding, and I'm going to let you go on with your awesome Friday. Okay, so let's have a look at who we are as Baker Baynes, right? So this is a snapshot of more or less our 4 core segments. I will be touching on the hardware and software part or our partners in the next slide. But just to give you an idea, survey and design hardware consulting, we do that. And this is more or less a segment that I haven't really hosted that much on my webinar offerings rather. And I thought that, hey, it's time to actually delve into construction and more or less connect it to our design offices, which is quite great. We also do design software consultancy, which is predominantly the webinars that I show you on how to design stuff much more efficiently. We are a big advocate of blended learning. And of course, we do business process consulting and helping you push out projects faster, either by project-based training, where we do the project with you and the team, or we provide you with training and let you do it yourself. The main takeaway from this slide is that we are an actual Autodesk service provider select. And this is a very niche thing to have. It just shows that our company and our professionals here have the capabilities to help you consult and design things much more better. In terms of our actual partners, of course, you all know Autodesk, the software tools like Civil 3D, Revit, AutoCAD, Inventor, those are the hero products, but there's a lot of more in the portfolio that will help you design much more effectively and much more smarter. And in terms of the 3D scanning technologies, we've got Leica and we've got Topcon. So Leica is predominantly used for building interiors, buildings. I actually scanned a mining gearbox last week with it, which came out pretty amazing. I'll probably post some pictures on LinkedIn so you can have a look at how it came out, and let me know what you think, right? And then of course, we've got something that's much more rugged, that being Topcon. And this is more or less the focus of today's webinar. We've got the GLS 2000, we've got the GTL 100, 1000, we've got the LN 100. There's a lot of tools that I can actually touch on, and I'm going to give you an overview of them soon. Then we've got IDAS, which stands for Infrastructure Design Automation Suite. It streamlines civil design, whether you're doing road, whether you're doing pipe networks. It makes things work much more better in one interface using Civil 3D. So if you're a civil engineer and you're into transportation, or you're doing roads and stormwater, you're doing services, probably if you haven't used it, drop me a message after this. We can chat. I will have my details at the end of the webinar. And last but not least, CAD learning. So if you haven't heard of CAD learning, I strongly recommend, if you are a designer or you're a draftsperson or someone's dealing with all of the plan production, model creation, please have a look at CAD Learning. You can get a trial. I can always hook you up with a trial, just let me know. But what it does, it has all of the videos for predominantly most of the Autodesk software. So if you want to learn Civil 3D, there's videos on there that will show you step by step how to do things. Example, creating a road, creating a vertical alignment. If you're doing platforms, if you're doing earthworks, there's videos on step by steps how to do it. Not only that, there's exercise files that you can download and do it with the person, which is fantastic. And last but not least, you can actually test yourself to see how's your skills going after 1 week, and the stuff that you actually get wrong, it'll actually produce a customized playlist so that you only focus on the things that you are weak in, if I could use that word. So instead of going through the entire playlist all over again, not knowing what you got wrong, this streamlines your capabilities, aligns it to what you need to learn, and it makes you a professional, or it brings you up to speed in the software much more faster. In terms of the core segments that we do serve, we've got build, which is vertical construction as it's called now. So your structural buildings, your architectural buildings, your residentials, your housing, infrastructure, it will fall under build. So anything going up, if I could make it simple, that will fall under our build segment. We've got manufacturing, which is very closely related now with construction because of prefab construction, or the term that I use is Legos, because it's literally plug and play. Then we've got civil infrastructure and mining, process plants, and energy. So I sit in the civil, build, and mining part of things. And this is all of your civil engineering applications. So your roads, your utilities, your water networks, your earthworks, your platforms, those type of things. Process plant, energy and mining, that is a very big segment in construction where we do like substations, plant layouts, piping, energy in terms of electrical and those type of things. So we basically cover the entire market in terms of design and infrastructure, and we can actually help you and support you on your quest irrespective of which fraternity that you do actually fall in. And we make all of these actually work together, which is a really challenging but a really rewarding experience at the same time. And we bring this all together using our IODOP methodology, which we assess your current people, process, and technology. We educate them to help them fish for themselves, if I could use that way. Alternatively, if it's much more out of your depth or you're still new and finding your feet, we consult with you to help you design and make a better world. We help you push out the project. We help you understand what you're doing on a project so that your project gets complete, as well as you learn, which is great. We always learn on high pressure situations. Being a designer myself, we always know a deadline is the biggest motivator and the biggest teacher of design principles. And this is what we also help you with. And this also allows us to facilitate positive change management in your company, in your organization, in your firm, because a lot of companies are now going digital, and especially with this whole COVID thing, working and collaborating remotely and using cloud technologies, we have a great spike in that, and we helped a lot of customers and clients work from home effectively. Okay, so let's dive into more or less who Topcon is, right? So if you haven't heard of Topcon, just look at the block on the right hand side. They are fully fledged in hardware, whether it's in geopositioning, construction, precision forestry, mining, agriculture is fantastic. Mining, construction, vertical solutions, scan to BIM, mapping, GIS, mobile scanning, all of these are covered by Topcon, and they have a very big global footprint, and their tools are just great. You're going to see it just now, but they are the first positioning systems company to offer the complete solution. And if you look at it, I'll give you some examples where they have used the machine control technology to actually construct the runways in Italy airport, and they got up to 1 millimeter accuracy, which is crazy to think of. I mean, if you've set foot on a construction site, try getting 1 millimeter accuracy. Even if you have a finished road level, it's pretty much difficult if your grading is not up to scratch, your operator, your technology, your coordination for your design model. But all of these Topcon does extremely well. And of course, Baker Baynes, Baker Baynes here in South Africa, we are actually a Topcon partner. Just to give you an idea of their portfolio or their reach, I've just put in like 2 or 3 slides. So you can see the survey and construction, ICT construction, which is also very great. You can see all of those technologies being applied there. And then of course, 3D measurement and agriculture. If you want to delve into this a bit more, so again, like I said, this webinar is an overview. I want you to understand first, everyone that has attended my webinar series, irrespective of what topic it is, the first webinar is always on understanding the story behind it. Once you get the story, then we can actually go in more technical so you can follow, because I said this in all my webinars, I am more concerned on your understanding rather than you just clicking away. Okay. In terms of geopositioning, these are all of the toys, if I could call it, that Topcon has and offers. You can see optical instruments, total stations, GPSs, laser scanning, GIS. It's a very widespread of portfolio, that hardware that they have. In terms of, if you're looking more construction focused, you've got machine control. If you don't know what machine control is, I strongly suggest you probably check it up, or you can drop me a mail. It basically helps you to construct things in a much more automated way, much more precise way. And then of course, there's also software, telematics and all of those things. And if you're looking at a more 3D mass data, so this will fall more on the scan to BIM workflow. That's why we're having this webinar. We've got all of these fancy kit that you can use. So if you haven't heard of the Series, looks like a big white plane where you literally, as you would throw a paper jet, I'm not joking, as you would throw a paper jet, you would actually throw this aeroplane. So if you went to like a Tinket Hobbies or a collector or a airplane club, those type of airplanes, it's more or less like that, where you could actually throw the aeroplane into the air and then it will actually fly and actually do the scanning for you on a set part, which is crazy to think of, but it does work. So if you want to go check it out, you can always go onto YouTube and type in Sirius. You will definitely pick it up. We've got the GTL 1000, which is this machine on here. It's the latest tech that they have. Very good, very automated. It's part of the scanning part of things, very accurate. GLS 2000, which is the one in the middle. That's what I'm going to be showing you today. It's also a 3D scanning machine. And then of course, anyone in mining knows about a mobile mapping unit that's strapped to a car. You will drive through a mine with it and it will actually scan the physical environment. So they've got all of the kits for scan to BIM. If you're looking at the bottom here, these are all of the Topcon software that can be used. So if you want to go full Topcon kit, you can do it here. Alternatively, because Autodesk is like the biggest software provider in the world in terms of design, you have to integrate with the Autodesk platforms. And this is what Topcon has done now, where you can link in with Navisworks, Revit, and so on. So if you are, or if we are focusing purely on scan to BIM today, these are the 2 hardwares that you would probably use. Okay, the GLS 2000, it has 3 ranges, being short, medium, and large, with the short range starting at 130 meters and the long range going up to 500 meters, which is pretty impressive and it's very accurate. If I recall, when I was in Ireland, the guys actually said that they use it to scan the facade of an actual pyramid, which was amazing. It also has a 360, 270 tilt, so horizontal and vertical. And a great feature that it has that I thought I'll bring up is an anti-theft system embedded. So it's a tier shield, what we would call it, where you could actually track your machine where it is, so you know more or less where your Topcon is. If it has to get stolen, it's very securely embedded and you can track your machines very easily. When it comes to the GTL 1000, it's more of a high resolution compact scanner, and it reduces your workflow time to 50 to 90%. And I've seen this in application, and those figures are damn correct. And it's less than 30 minutes to take scans from the device to Navisworks and check the verification on Verity. So a lot of people don't know what is Verity, and I thought I will bring this in, especially if you are in construction. You will see how good this is. So if you're looking at the portfolio, right? So Topcon also makes their software. It was predominantly, or it's still branded as ClearEdge 3D, but Topcon has made the acquisition for it. And you've got 3 technologies that will be very fitting in a scan to BIM workflow. Edgewise, if you've joined my initial webinar, you should know what this does already, where it extracts the CAD from a point cloud. So let me say this again. Normally, when you do a 3D scanning or 3D scan, you would see that you get millions of pixels or dots that come in. That's called a point cloud. But you would still have to model the CAD elements of it, either by, and this is predominantly manual still, where you would, if I could use an analogy, connect the dots to create a model. So how you would open up a coloring book and you would connect the dots to form a picture. A point cloud provides you with that functionality, but it's can be very overwhelming and cumbersome depending on your knowledge of it, as well as how you manage the data to draw. Okay. But Edgewise, what it does is it extracts that. So it'll use its edge recognition. It'll extract the columns. It'll extract the walls. It'll extract the floor. You could even set regions to extract windows and doors. And this comes in as an intelligent model into Revit. So it'll actually improve your workflow by 75%, because where you would have someone modeling this up manually from scratch, you could leave this maybe overnight, come back in the morning, and your CAD is extracted. If you want to see how this looks, the details will be at the end of our YouTube channel, where I've actually demonstrated this, where we used it on our new office, which we are built in and we have settled into now. The next technology is Verity. So Verity, it helps you consolidate the point cloud versus your design model. So your design model is what you would issue for construction. So you'll do your model, whether it's a building, let's use a building, right? So you would model up everything, architect will model it, structural model it, everything will be final model, and then you will issue for construction. Once it gets issued for construction, you will construct the building, and then after that, you will do a point cloud or a 3D scan. Now, if you take that 3D scan and you overlay it into your model, you should see your design versus your as-built state. If you have a pretty good construction methodology and your design was pretty good, everything in theory should fit in exactly where the point cloud sits. But this is not always the case. Sometimes you might find a pipe maybe a meter to the right rather than being in the correct position, or the wall might be shifted a few millimeters to the left. You know, things like that, discrepancies. Verity helps you to gauge these discrepancies, and it helps you to actually consolidate your design model, update it, and provide an accurate as-built model. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. And last but not least, there's Rhythm. Okay. Great thing about Rhythm, just to make it simple, it helps you to check floor flatness and levelness, right? So FF or FL. It's a great quality assurance or quality control software where you can get the actual levels of the road, or rather the floor, and you can actually use it on wet or dry concrete. So if concrete is still workable, you can actually get the levels from there, which is mind-blowing. I mean, if you're on site and you've ever seen a slab casted and you check the finish level, it's a bit of a cumbersome thing to do, but you can even check the deflections, you can heat map it, you can check, you can conduct a ramp slope analysis, and much more. So it's a very intelligent piece of kit. And this also, all of these fit in with Autodesk applications. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing on Verity. All right. So these are just some of the advantages of Verity. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can read through them on your side. But whatever I've just explained on the previous slide, it incorporates all of that, where you can combine the tolerances that you set on the point cloud versus your design model. You can update it to get a complete CAD model. and use that for handover. You can even export element data to give a report to say that this is how it was constructed, this is the tolerances that were, or the discrepancies between the point cloud and the actual building design, and it helps you like negate problems in the future. Okay, so let's give you an overview of the workflow that's applied, and this is what we're going to be going through today in the demonstration. So we're going to use Topcon and Autodesk because predominantly all of our users that attend our webinars are Autodesk designers or Autodesk tech advocates, all right? And we're going to be using this in conjunction with hardware. Now, very important, what I'm saying here is once the design model is constructed, so once construction is complete, right? This is what's going to happen. You will go and do a scan with a laser scanning technology, right? So you'll use, in this case, I'm advocating Topcon. So you'll use the GLS 2000 or the GTL 1000, whichever you want to use. This will actually capture the as-built data or the scan data and transfer it to be processed on Autodesk Recap. Okay, so this is on your desktop. The cool thing with the Topcon is you have an SD card which you can plug directly into your laptop, and you can actually process it, which makes it very simple, right? Once this is processed, that RCP file from Recap will be taken into Navisworks for model coordination. This is where you will also import your design model, okay? And you will overlay it like what I've done in my previous webinar where I took the point cloud and overlaid it to the model. And thereafter, you will see that the Recap point cloud and design model will be analyzed, verified, and consolidated to produce accurate as-built models. So this is where we would use Navisworks, Verity, and Rhythm if you want to check the floor levels. This will create one combined accurate as-built model, right? And of course, this will lead us to the last stage being handover. Okay. So you'll give the model over the final representation of the constructed environment. That will be the updated model, handover. So if I have to summarize this, you'll conduct a scan, you will process that scan, you will consolidate it using Navisworks, Verity, or Rhythm, or both of them, and then you will hand it over to the facility manager or the client or whoever you need to hand it over to. Okay, I hope this is making sense, right? If you have any questions, you can type them in the text box, but I will only answer them at the end of the webinar just to keep the flow going. Okay, now that you hopefully have a great understanding of what we're getting into today, now we can go into a bit of the technical overview, okay? So this is where we're going to start our demonstration, where we're going to use the scan to BIM methodology as well as Autodesk and Verity to do as-built verification. Very, very important. So let's jump in. Okay, so this is the scenario that we are dealing with today. Okay, so I always create a scenario in my webinars now to give you a context or a project brief, if you could call it that, and what we're going to do. So the design model was complete and the drawings were issued for construction, and then the building was constructed and construction was complete. So what we would need to do as the consultants or the contracted party would be, we need to, for the design and construction, we need to verify it so that we can give or hand over an accurate as-built model. And what we're going to do for this is we're going to apply a scan to BIM workflow to achieve this. And of course, this webinar will highlight the process with possible future webinars going in depth. So this is the overview. This is the methodology webinar. So if you are attending it, brilliant. You will have a good understanding of what we're going to do. And then the webinars in the future on construction will be much more click. Okay. So let's start with the first part, which is scanning the building constructed to derive a point cloud. So last time I did this with a BLK 360. Okay. That is a more interior or building based, but I've gone much more rugged. And what I've taken is, I've taken the GLS 2000, a video of more or less what it does, because a lot of people get confused as to, but it's a 3D scanner shouldn't be doing the same. In practically, yes, the functionality or the objective is the same, but in terms of features, it can be completely different and purpose-built. So as you remember, GLS 2000 is more construction-based. So let's have a look and see what it has to highlight for us. Okay. So we'll just have a look at the features and the benefits. All right. You will see them popping up on your screen where it's more accurate, it's high speed. The thing that I really like is the actual full dome scan. So if you don't know what that is, I've got it here, that you're going to have a look at what it does. And if you can see the video on your right, this is more or less, once you have it scanning, how it's going to be going or conducting its business on site. You've got the oscillating head in the center that's going to be going round and round, shooting lasers. And this is more or less what's going to be happening. So if you had to scan a process plant that you're seeing there, that is the resultant point cloud. Pretty impressive, right? And you can see it's quite far away set from the actual building, and the accuracy is great. So that's the model that's actually brought in. Very dense point cloud, as you can see, which is what you would want as a designer. If you had to design or you had to scan something like a steel bridge where you had to set out from afar, we can also do that using this machine. All right. So you can see the point cloud also is very good. So if you are a steel modeler, this is good. And now we're getting to the dome scanning. So if you do tunnels, this is more or less what it does. So just watch this. Can you see the scan being put together? All right. If you've seen it in person, oh, it's just amazing to actually have a look at. But this is more or less what you can use for tunnels. That's why I say it's a very rugged piece of kit that you can use on construction and mining sites, and that was the process. And that's because it's got the 270 by 360. You can also use it for maintenance, for bridges, all of those things. It's very easy to operate because it has an onboard screen. It's really good touch interface. Everyone's used to using a touchscreen phone now. Very compact, detachable handle. It's onboard, very friendly, and the visibility of your scan, you can actually preview it on the scanner on the screen. Very good. And the laser classes, so if you're a surveyor, it has a 3R to a 1M. So you should know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's a very handy thing to have. And that's just an overview of what it does. So you'll set this on site, you'll scan whatever you need, and then you will derive a point cloud of it. Okay, that's more or less what the machine is going to do. It's going to scan, it's going to create a point cloud, and that's it. So I thought it will be nice to show you a different machine and its application, so you can actually gauge that. Oh, okay, cool. This is a construction machine. This is more interior based or building. It's not for the construction side. But again, experience and applications, you can kind of tweak a bit of both. But I would strongly recommend construction side, get something that's rugged and IP rated much more better, like a Topcon. Okay. So the first process is done. We did the scan of the building. We used the Topcon. We got the point cloud. Now it is time to process it in Autodesk Recap. So we'll take the SD card, we'll put it into the computer. We can either copy it over, I would strongly recommend copying it over, so you have the original data as well, and we can process it now. So I've taken this from my previous scan to webinar, which I'm just going to skip through. So these are the files that have been imported now from the scanner, and you'll see that it will start processing, right? So we'll be using automatic registration at this point. If I skip a bit forward in the video, okay, you'll see it will, depending on how much or how big the data set is, it can take a bit of time. If you do reach this stage where it is a split screen, again, this has been covered in depth on my previous webinar, you will actually need to do manual registration, which is pretty easy. I think I'm actually at the right point of it now, where you would need to take the left-hand side and match it up with objects on the right-hand side. So let's have a quick look at that. So if I just scan the building, as you can see, the imagery comes in if it's exported to an RCP file, which is amazing. So you don't get lost, right? You can see the scan was great because all of the areas was actually green, as you can see on the report. And this is where you would have to actually match from side to side. And once you do match it, it will create a match at the bottom, and you'll be able to process your slide. So I'm not going to concentrate on this part because it has been covered in the previous Scan to BIM workflow webinars, right? But just to give you the process is still the same, okay? So let me just skip along here for you. Okay, once it's matched and everything is good, you can see that it's going to start to index the scan. Once the index has been complete, right, you should see that it'll give you an option to launch the project below, and you should be able to see the scan or the point cloud processed at the end. So this is the result that incorporates the hardware with the processing part of the software. So once it's processed, you're going to get this point cloud and you're good to go. Now, just remember the scenario that we discussed where this is an already constructed building, and this is the physical representation or the 3D scan representation of its physical as-built properties. Okay, so now that we have that, this is where the design and construction verification happens, where you would take the model in Navisworks as well as the point cloud, you'll combine it with Verity to check if there is any discrepancies. And I've used a really good example here of a building with steel columns, because if you are a steel detailer or if you're civil structural, you should know that sometimes the I columns are not placed in the correct direction, or you might have for some reason used an H column, or something like that. The orientation could be a bit off on site versus the actual design. So let's have a look how you can apply Verity with Navisworks. So Verity plugs into Navisworks and it's bi-directional, so any update that you would do in Verity will sync in with Navisworks and so on like that. So let's have a look. Okay, so this is an introduction to Verity. As you can see here, just give me a second. Right, so as you can see here, on the left hand side, you've got the I section and the point cloud overlaid. And as you can see, there is a millimeter or few discrepancies there, right? So this is actually picks up the tolerances for you. On the right hand side, you've got the Navisworks model, which is the CAD model. And what this does is, for maintenance, it reduces your risks, it makes you more profitable and stuff like that. And you can work on any scope of work. So whether you're mechanical, electrical, plumbing, concrete, walls, finishes, much more, right? And you will see now on your left-hand side, you can see the discrepancy between the as-built properties versus the model. You can see that the I sections are spaced out. And if you toggle on the right-hand side, it has a full push functionality to Navisworks. And what it does is it color codes the beams or structures by tolerances, so yellow, green, and red. If you had to look at it much more closer, you can see that the position of the eyes of that I section versus the design, model, and construction is wrong. Same with the orientation for that H section. It helps you consolidate your model so much better. But I'm getting to the main part now. You can see at the table below, it gives you a report of each element, like on its axes, long axis, transitions, all of those things below. And you can even create a heat map to compare, like you're seeing there, the actual position versus the design position. Pretty good, eh? Okay, so again, you can see the point cloud has been overlaid to the model, so the tolerances have been set, and you can even generate a report to say that what's within a certain tolerance. So you might say that, please check whether it's within 10 mils or 20 mils or whatever, and it'll give you whether it falls. These reports can be exported, emailed to whoever you need to. If you want to only check certain elements, you can select them in Navisworks, all right, and then you can actually export them or sync them to Verity, where you can only compare that. Not only that, you can then take your files to Revit. So again, we're doing a building, so I'm concentrating on Revit. And you can actually compare the actual building. Now, this is amazing, where you can see that the point cloud for the beam is on the left. I click the CAD model and it snaps to the correct position now. You will not get this in any other software, as far as I know, because you will have to physically move that in your CAD application, whereas there you will have to just click on it and it will update its location to its as-built properties. I'm going to go back there so you can actually gauge it again, because maybe you're not getting what I'm saying. So as you can see on the screen, right, this is where, according to your design model or your BIM model, where the beam should be, okay? But after the building was constructed, you can see that the beam position is actually more to the left. It's shifted a bit. These can be various reasons behind that. But now for your as-built model, for the model that you need to hand over to a facilities manager or to someone as a deliverable, you would need to make sure that this design model now has an accurate representation for what has been constructed on site. So you would need to move that beam to this point cloud location, right? And if you have a building with a lot of changes, if you had to do this manually, you can do it in Revit. It's still fairly quick compared to using AutoCAD and so on, but it's still very tedious. Now this has a function here on the left where it says move host item to as-built. You see that? So it moves the host item to the as-built position. So this will actually snap into there. So let me play this video again, and you can actually see it now and understand it better. So you will see it'll click onto there, and that will now snap to its correct position. I hope this makes sense, because that is a very big game changer in using Verity. Not only that, for your safety, your quality assurances, the reports that you might have to put together for facilities management, asset management, and so on, Verity will be a very, very big thing. So if you are in complex buildings, vertical construction, you're doing a lot of residential development work, and you are involved in as-built capture, handover, scanning, Verity, and also rhythm. Probably my next webinar will be on rhythm in the construction phase, to show you how you can actually pick up exact floor levels. And last but not least, now that we've got the consolidated or final model, we are now going to be handing over. I don't have any model for that, but this is more or less what it is. You'll be like, hey, dear client or facilities manager, project manager, here's your as-built model. Happy days. Everything is accurate. You're welcome to check it. But if you're giving a BIM model, this will have all of the metadata attached to it, and handover is complete. Okay, so you don't have to dig into your contingencies on site. If you are in construction, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So that's my overview webinar for today. Not too heavy, hopefully not too light as well. But my biggest keys are always, you must understand before I'm going to be showing you the technical part of it. So let's wrap things up and let's look at what we had looked today. So of course, I showed you the Topcon Autodesk workflow for construction verification or scan to BIM. Then we looked at processing the scan that was captured via Topcon into recap. We took that recap file, we took the design model, we imported it into Navisworks to check that it's coordinated and sits in the correct place. Once that's done, we applied Verity to pick up the tolerances or the differences and verify the 3D scanned as-built state versus the design build state. And once we were able to pick up these discrepancies, we could have updated it to create one consolidated model for as-built handover, right? So what this does is it allows us, or it enhances much more leaner construction workflows by updating the design models to as-built scan data. Irrespective of which way you look at it, even if you're new to technology and you're a bit scared of it, I challenge you to go and do this with a tape measure. I've used to do tape measuring on site, hated it, still hate it. And sometimes for quick markups, it's probably the quickest thing to do rather than getting a scanner. But if you do miss any information that you might need and your site is like 4 hours away, that becomes a problem. This is why you would need a 3D laser scanner, because it's going to pick up everything in that physical environment. Even though you might not need it, it's still there for you to actually make use of for metadata and information. So I hope that this was a good insight for the construction part of things, for the initial kickoff of our construction webinar series. Now that you have the understanding, if you know someone that needed to attend today, please tag them for understanding purposes, so that when they log into the next one or the next construction topic, they have a good grounding. Again, you can reach us all on Baker Baynes, our online handles. So we are on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Please feel free to reach out, comment, like, subscribe, drop us a message. Maybe you're dealing with something really cool or difficult also. We can actually advise you and maybe have a conversation. And last but not least, again, you're more than welcome to connect with me as a designer. My name is Shuaib Yunus. I'm a civil engineer, civil design engineer. I'm also a BIM technical specialist for civil infrastructure and mining. I am more design specialized. So if I can learn from you a bit more on the construction part of it, or sharpen up my construction knowledge, I'm more than welcome to do that. So anything civil infrastructure design you want to chat, you can more than welcome to hit me up. Primary focus, those are the Autodesk type of things that I focus on. So if you want to contact me more on a product-based focus, those are the primary. Also, there's Topcon and 3D laser scanning that falls under there. Secondary is more on the build side, so your advanced steel, Revit, structure, robot structures, and Navisworks. LinkedIn, I'm very active, so if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, all of my recordings in the webinar are posted on there, the link to it being on our YouTube channel. So feel free to add me. If you want to also message me to say if you're working on anything really cool, please share it with me, because I love design. I like seeing what's going out on there. And we can always chat on things that you're probably picking up on industry or you probably not sure of. You can always feel free to reach out to me. If you don't want to use LinkedIn, there's my email address. So if you're more for email person, it's shuaib@bakerbaynes.com. Drop me an email if you're struggling with certain aspects of design. And if I get enough capacity on my side, I will actually throw together webinars so not only you, but those that are experiencing it throughout the world can actually learn, and we can both move and grow together. Yeah, and then last but not least, this will be uploaded to YouTube. We've got a Baker Baynes YouTube channel, so if you know a buddy that missed out today, you can always share them the link. Also, the webinars that we do post, if you see them on LinkedIn on my feed, and you know that day you're probably on site or you're on leave or some whatever that you can't actually attend today, I would suggest register. Reason being is, once the webinar is uploaded, you will get a email notification saying that, hey, the webinar has been uploaded, there's a recording, click this link so you can have a watch of it. So we do have you covered for those that are not available to present or present themselves at this. So you can go watch the recording at your own leisure. So I'm going to open this up to questions and answers, or Q&A. So if you do have any presentations, or rather if you have any questions, getting a bit tired, it's been a long week. Please drop a question in the chat box. If you have any comments, feedbacks, if you think it was good, if you think it was bad, if you think there was something I missed out, please drop me a chat, because it helps me understand your needs as well. Like I said, I have been in consulting, so I kind of have it covered of the challenges, but there are always new challenges that, even though I'm well versed in design, I might not know of. So I will also learn from you, you learn from me, and we can all grow together. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, or a minute or two. If you have any comments, let me know. Thank you, Robert Pennels, for your comment that it was a great presentation. Have a great weekend as well. Really great that it resonated with you. If you have any questions regarding construction, have you used Scan to BIM before? maybe just type in the chat box yes or no. This will be an easy one. So if you have used a 3D laser scanner before, or if you have used the scan to BIM workflow yourself, just maybe type in yes into the text box so I can see. Maybe I need to focus on that, but I have covered an entire scan to BIM campaign on YouTube on that. Okay, there's a question regarding the scanning range. Okay, so in a nutshell, this question is, what effects does the scanning range have on the project that you're doing? Okay, I'm going to answer it very simply. I would say if you're using a scanner that has about a 60-meter range, which will be like a BLK 360, it's perfect for interiors, for buildings, something that's close by. But where you have space constraints, or where you have like instances where you do have to set up a bit far from the actual structure that you need to scan, I would say that's where long range comes in. And you will also need to check the spec of the long range, because of course, the further you do go away, or the further the distance, it plays with the millimeter accuracy that you would get. But on construction sites, we do know that your application of it results in very, very, very good accuracy. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, there's one on a bit of a lighter note, but the gearbox that you scanned at the mine that you said initially, what did you use? So I used the BLK 360. A reason being, it wasn't a that big of a gearbox, and I know that because I know the machine itself, I knew that the accuracy I was going to get is going to be great. Okay, so that's why I used that. Also, the Topcon was on the Topcon machine. The GLS 2000 was actually on another site at that time. So I did my checks. I have done scanning and implementation a lot recently. So that's what I used. I will definitely post it on LinkedIn. So have a look at it and let me know what you think of the point cloud. I haven't done the modeling yet. I've given that to the client, preferred to do the modeling themselves. But the point cloud came out pretty damn good. So I will post that. Thank you for that. But yeah, I don't see any other questions. Maybe you are a bit tongue-tied, or you can't think of anything yet. Or maybe you're probably new to construction, which I hope you are, because then we can actually learn together. I don't mind that. So in the case where you would have any other questions that pop up into your head later, there's my details again. Feel free to reach out to me. But now I'm gonna say goodbye to you all. Have a great Friday. Have an awesome weekend. Chill out, relax, and I will catch you again for my webinar soon. So thank you very much and have an awesome day.